My name is Curtis Fairman. I'm an instructor here at PCC. I teach art and experimental media, sculpture, installation, performance, and all the experimental arts. Art is an intellectual process that's developed over centuries. And if you think about that period when we were Neanderthals, when we were hunters and gatherers, and we rose to power as the alpha predator, and we freed up our abilities to survive, we allowed our brains the capacity to explore the bigger unanswered questions. Why are we here? What are we doing? Where are we going to go next? And at that moment, we were able to define some basic disciplines. Disciplines of the sciences, of religion, and of art. With math and science, you work very general to the specific. With religion, you work backwards from that. You work from very specific events that you observe, and from that you create laws or parables. Artwork is somewhere in the middle of that. We use a scientific process of rehearsal or refinement of what we do to improve our work in a very scientific method, yet we still have a very poetic hypothesis that's informed by religion that allows us to be more metaphorical, to use allegory to create a larger statement. Traditionally, with a lot of art classes, you find that there's a rehearsal of a skill or a practice, say learning drawing or learning how to paint. You're rehearsing a skill. When you enter into an experimental media class, you're looking for an opportunity to bring 100% of your experience to the table. Show me something new. Take this culmination of what you've seen in contemporary art, take your personal influences, and find a way to execute a new form of communication that hasn't been seen before. This term, experimental media, is focused on specifically performance art, and that would be artwork that goes beyond the boundaries of a pedestal, that involves the body, involves artists as performers, involves bringing in dance, movement, sound, music, video, all sorts of elements of time-based arts. It's an incredibly rich sector of the art world that a lot of people consider to be relatively new. We're looking at everything from Vine videos, YouTube, interactive art, light, sound. It's just a great opportunity to bring an incredibly driven group of artists together to explore this sort of new untested waters moving into the 21st century. Today we had an incredibly passionate performance based upon school shootings that have occurred recently, but also since the first event of Sandy Hook. And we had a student, counting off these numbers and sort of exercising these sort of demons inside of her as she sort of breaks down to tears, experiencing this recounting of all those deaths. She cried, real tears on the floor for us. And so much of performance art is often shrouded in the artificial sort of qualities of someone who's performing. But this is a student who took to the work with complete sincerity and broke down in tears for the sake of her work. And I felt that was an incredibly honest moment that shook me. I mean, I'm a fairly cynical and reserved guy, but to see that happen in front of me, it's very endearing, and it creates a camaraderie amongst the students. You're interested in making art. You're interested in making a difference in the universe. You're interested not only in saving humanity, but to create something that's not going to leave behind any sort of toxic residue. You want to make something that contributes to the intellectual advancement of our culture. And that sounds fairly lofty, especially for a student here at PCC, but I find it to be true, because you never know where the next great idea is going to come from. And when we have a form of universal communication at our disposal, it seems to me it's almost an entitlement of every student out there to figure out how to use that universal language to solve some of the problems that we have today.
I've got plans, man. I've got plans.
There.